Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 131 of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League show and podcast. I am your host, the self-proclaimed FPL guru, Alex Rex. And joining me today are both of my usual suspects. He's back, Scott Williams and Barry Stokes. Scott, how are you?
Yeah, very good. It's good that we're all back together. It's been a few weeks, hasn't it? So yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Great. Barry, where in the world are you today?
Back in my usual spot. I've had 11 weeks where I've been above average, but I'm still in the 2 million. So we're here. Let's go with it.
Does that just show how far back you were originally?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, mate, it's green arrows all the way for you for the rest of the season because the thing is, you're inevitably going to win a trophy. You are the Ten Hag of our league, mate. Doesn't matter how bad you do, you're still going to win a trophy at the end of it. Here he is. Absolutely hates that analogy. The man hates Ten Hag. Right. Don't forget to like this video if you're watching on YouTube. Do it now. Log in. Do it now. Don't forget to give us 5 stars where you get your podcast from. And also click the little icon. And then you can follow us, get notifications when they go live. And also like our social media channels. Follow us on our social media channels. And please like them as well. All in Football Pod on P, Twitter, X now, isn't it? Instagram and TikTok. I've said Twitter for about a year and it's been X for the entire time, but no one
No
cares.
one's ever called me X. It's an
No.
absolute disgrace. I'm really not happy about him either. Elon Musk, he just swans around, doesn't he? Sick of it. He's
I can't
gonna
say
end up
what's
killing
going to
us
that
all.
one of his cars. So
Yeah,
Well,
that
mate, that'll car will be driving you soon.
yeah. It's let's not get into the politics of the world at this point. Don't forget to also follow the FPL Affairs Facebook group, which Barry will post our content in as well. Right, let's get some admin done. Manager of the week for game week 27 was Bow and Arrow, Kaylee Waring. Well done to you, Kaylee. I love the Bow and Arrow. What a fantastic name. You got 86 points, which is pretty mad considering the average of 53. Great week for you. By far, manager of the week as well. Pickford with 2, Guardiol, Wan-Bissaka both with 7 apiece. Cucurella with 15. What a life. Palmer with 7, Salah 6, Rice 3, Clivert with 10, Bowen captain. I can see why. And Visser with 9, Wood with 2, and you played your assistant manager chip with Arne Slot getting 10 points. Verbruggen, Robinson, Van Hecke, and Isak on the bench. And that leads us very, very nicely to the Manager of the Month award. I'm really sorry, Callum Burnett, but Kaylee took it on the last game week, 86 points. So well done to Kaylee for winning Manager of the Month. Callum Burnett in second place. I won't read his name out. And Sam Danby Bailey having one of the most solid seasons you can have. They're in third place. Well done to Alan Sedor, Kieran Ball, Ali Farrell, last year's winner, having a great month there. Maria Price, Bob Smith, Steve Cousins, and Judith Williams. I won't read out 11th mine. Right, well done to you guys. February. Let's have a really quick look at the league.
Sorry, I was just looking down. Sorry, I was just looking down there, seeing where you boys were chilling around the 50s.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm happy. I'm at my favourite number in the league anyway.
Oh, what's that 125th? I excuse me.
I actually thought you did all right this month, Alex. I've clearly not been concentrating now.
Do you know what? No, I did. I just haven't played my system manager chip like everyone else has, who's got an extra 30 points, 40 points. So I've saved it for later, which has worked out really well for me with Newcastle getting knocked out of the cup. So I was really hoping that Newcastle would beat Brighton in the FA Cup, and then I'd have a double for my Newcastle assistant manager chip. They lost, and obviously Gordon got sent off. And then my backup was Ipswich might beat Forest, and then I'd still get my double. Penalty shootout didn't go well. I haven't had a good weekend for penalties as a United fan, I'm afraid. So the assistant managership hasn't worked out as nice as I'd wanted, but Newcastle still do have that double game week in 32 and some good fixtures surrounding it. So, but yeah, I've still got that to play. So feeling all right about it. Really, really close at the top between the top three in the podcast league. Sam Danby Bailey with 19-14. Kieran Ball with the Crystal Balls, 19-12, 2 points behind Sam. And Sam Kimoni, our long-time leader, only 10 points off the top still. So it's really, really close between the top three. Gavin Webb, Ali Farrell still stands an outside chance of back-to-back. He's up to fifth. This is a really good comeback. He was quite a long way behind, really. FPL Hardcores, the team everyone hates, are in sixth. James Pellet's in seventh. Costa in eighth. Jeff Belcher, the man who decided he wasn't playing for money this year, is up there in ninth. Got to regret that decision, Jeff, haven't you? Sorry about that, lad. And then Mick Shannon there in 10th. And nobody cares who's 11th.
No one cares, mate. No one cares.
Nobody cares who's 11th. Or 12th or 13th or 14th, or we all care headers 15th. So let's talk about the fallout from the FA Cup first of all, because that was a lot of league admin. I hope everyone enjoyed that. I feel like we needed a good catch up though between us and the listeners on where we were all at with the league, because also the cup starts game week 32. I'll look that up, but the cup's not far away. Yeah, thanks, Baz. He's going to look that up for me straight away whilst I talk about what's in front of us. So, blank
Game week 32.
Yes, game week 32. Thank you. Blank game week 29 coming up. Don't forget the Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Aston Villa, and Liverpool blank. Game week 32, we've got double game weeks for Crystal Palace and Newcastle. With the FA Cup fixtures and people getting knocked out as they have done, I won't go through every single fixture here because it's still a little bit tenuous. But game week 33, because quite a few of the teams that are still in there are still in Europe as well. Arsenal, Aston Villa, Man United, for an example. Yeah, Man United are still in Europe, everyone. There's a really high likelihood that all of the fixtures that blank in 34 will move to 33. That's the headline. Because if they aren't involved in European football, they could move into quite a few different game weeks, 35 being one of them. But it looks like most of the blanks in 34 move into 33. And there's still a chance, obviously. Well, some teams will blank in game week 37, so they'll move into game week 36. Yeah, that's the top and bottom of it. The FA Cup quarterfinals, and that was the thing I was definitely going to look up before I did start this podcast, but didn't. I think they're before game week 30. I'll check that before the podcast is out.
End of March they are.
At the end of March. I'll check it before the podcast is out. I'll have a look. So I've got it saved on here. But in fact, what I'll do is I'll look it up really quickly right now, and I'll ask you, Baz, anything happen at the weekend in terms of the fixtures, the FA Cup results, anything notable knock you out of kilter for future plans, or are you still nailed on with pretty much what you're going to do with your chips?
Well, Mateta got obviously kung fu kicked, so that obviously knocked me back a bit because obviously I was keeping him through the blank. But obviously I can keep Watkins and get rid of Mateta. But obviously he's had 25 stitches to his ear, so he might be back for the Southampton game. So I might keep hold of him just for that reason because it's Southampton and obviously they're going to maybe one of the worst teams in Premier League history. So that was it. And then I think everyone was really waking up to a lot of flags. I bet they thought planes were going to land in the back garden where how many flags were flying on the FPL app. So yeah, so for me it was just Mateta really. And obviously I totally forgot it was FA Cup and panicked and went, oh, I'm going to miss the deadline and all this. So I brought in Mikalenko for Digne. And I realised it was FA Cup, so it was a waste of a transfer. Then Mateta got kung fu kicked. So yeah, never mind.
Right. Off the back of that, then also some of us are Cunha owners who thought we'll plan ahead.
Yeah.
And because it was FA Cup weekend, I'd totally switch off to FPL. Like generally, I don't even think about it because otherwise I'd do what you did, Baz, and just make panic transfers probably. We were all joking about it in the group chat, weren't we? Oh, Cunha, what an idiot. Then I looked at my team and forgot that I had him. That was a brilliant moment for me. And I'd planned ahead. I was like, this is really good. Look at Wolves' fixtures. I clever. Yeah, hasn't worked out for me. So it's probably a better transfer in for me, I think, this week. Chances maybe somebody else, but probably better. Yes, so the FA Cup quarterfinals were before game week 30. That was the thing. So you will know before the game week 30 deadline almost certainly who's going to blank in 34 and double in 33. So again, potentially worth saving some transfers. And also that's why the wild card's going to be so rife. In between game week 31, 32, 30, sorry, 30, 31 and 32 is second wild card territory all day long. If you haven't used it already, you almost certainly nailed on to going to be using it in that space to be taking advantage of the doubles and, planning your bench boost maybe or your assistant manager chip if you haven't used it yet already. Or, of course, let's not forget some people haven't used their triple captain yet. So, yeah, planning where you're going to use that one, Baz. So, yes. Well, you were disappointed about Newcastle. That was probably an Isak triple captain nailed on, wasn't it? If that
I think the triple captain, if you've got it, surely you're slapping it on this week. I know it's one game week, but Southampton at home, when you're Mo Salah.
It's a really, really good point. The worst team in Premier League history against the player who's having the best season in Premier League history, almost, I think, in every statistic. Like, it's pretty mental. It's either there or it's on the 2 home games in 32 for Isak, really. United and Palace, Newcastle in their home form, it's one or the other. But yeah, I totally get that, Scott. Anyone who uses their triple captain this week on Mo Salah as a one-off is definitely not wrong. It's a really good opportunity to use it. So, but yeah, so that's the landscape. Let's have a look at the next 2 game weeks, Baz, and I'll get our graphic up. If you can talk about your picks, that'd be great.
Yeah, so obviously what we did was for people that's going to be non-free hitting, we all came up with basically a 2-week punt to kind of dead end your team, really, or you can carry on with them because obviously Wolves have got half decent fixtures and Everton's do turn slightly. So obviously I went for transferring a striker because obviously I've got Mateta out, so I could just gamble and go Strand Larson. It's going to be a massive differential. They've got Everton at home and Southampton away, so 2 good fixtures. So for me, I'll be looking at that. And then as I've got Watkins, I could look at transferring Watkins out and getting Wood in. Obviously, he's in form of his life. He's in best goal scoring form this season in the Premier League. So why not have him and maybe even captain him? So yeah, that's my picks for leading up to the potential non-free hitters in game week 29.
Yeah, I mean, this is the whole point, isn't it, really? If you're not free hitting in 29, which players are you going to bring into your team that probably got a good fixture in 29 and also a good fixture in 28 as well? Scott, you looked at Decore, I looked at Everton as well. So,
yeah, all the good picks were gone. Obviously, I was late to this party. Shock. If anyone sees our group chat. The way to get to me is tagging me. So fair play, Baz, for tagging me in that. So
I'd have
yeah,
picked him and I'd have picked like Bruno or something like that for you.
yeah. To be fair, the only decent player this season tonight, I think. Shock. Yeah, Decore, I wanted an Everton asset. And Beto's gone. Jack Harrison's a bit sort of in and out of the team. I did look at the forget his name, he's like South American. That's it, Alcaraz. But again, he's been a bit in and out. Decore, can't remember what game it was recently. I watched it and he was just. Was it the Merseyside derby where he?
Yeah, it was quality against Liverpool.
Yeah, he was. He really impressed me actually. He was really like making those runs from deep, and scored the header against someone recently as well. Yeah, so I thought he could be a good shout. And then Bournemouth for the 1 week. I did think of Kluivert, but he's a bit dead to me because I took Kluivert out last game week and he returned 10 points and I brought Bowen in. So that didn't particularly go well. So I've gone for Semenyo. He gets mentioned a lot of the times on this podcast. His numbers aren't great the last 4 weeks, but does catch the eye test. He plays every single minute pretty much of every game. So that's who I'd go on against a Brentford team that are incredible.
It's very true. Yeah, I went for Beto. No surprises really in terms of an asset from an Everton perspective. I did look at Bournemouth even for a 2-week punt. Sky, so many. I don't think it's a bad 2-week shout. I mean, they've got Spurs away this week, so that's a win.
They seems to have, yeah. You say that, but I looked at Spurs the other day. They seem to have, they've got some of the defenders back. They seem to have kind of shored things up a little bit when you look at the results. Obviously,
he's saying he's changed his style. Oh,
potentially, yeah. I mean, obviously they lost to City. They only conceded once to Ipswich, clean sheet against United, against Brentford. So actually, look at those last 4 games. They seem to have shored things up a little bit. So
Yeah, he's got Vicario back as well.
I don't think there is there for the taking as they once were. And like you said, they've got defenders back, haven't they, in the team and they've just got the utility man, Archie Gray.
yeah, the man. It is one of my biggest tilters in the world. Is when people talk about styles of play and how you can't change it. You're dead if you change it. And then the next thing somebody says is, "I'm just going to get fired if he doesn't change his style." And it absolutely does my head in. It's some of the worst punditry I've ever. The quality of punditry at the moment is very bad, by the way. Oh God. You hear the debate about Arne Slot and his sending? They only got sent off in the Merseyside derby, and everyone was like, Merson was having a debate with whoever the ref is. It might be in on Soccer Saturday about like, can't you just give him a break? And no one had any idea about even what he'd said. And then like the
Yeah,
transcripts come out today, and he's basically been like, if we lose the title, I'm blaming you. Like it's just like the conversations are just
I think on that as well. Like Soccer Saturday, like I watch it when I can. I think Mercer's sort of. I think he just needs to go. He kind of just annoys me now. Like you say, he says stuff like that, but like it's your job to talk about football. If you've got a game, write down phonetically the guy's name. I think that joke's gone now. Like if you can't say a guy's name properly and it's your job, it's time to go. And like he just seems to be eating half the time and that. Like if it was me, and I don't know why I thought of this. They've just had their anniversary having the EastEnders, but I can just see him. If it were me and he walked into my pub, I'd whip a Peggy Mitchell out and tell him to get out of my pub. I've had enough of it. Change it up.
yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
Yes, I agree with you. Change them all, to be fair. Um, yes, so Beto was my pick for the 2 weeker, and then yeah, I went for Morgan Gibbs White. Again, same as Baz in terms of the fixture. I think Ipswich away for a Nottingham Forest team is a great fixture to pick. I just think he's a solid pick and a solid player. And in terms of his numbers, Langers seem to have dropped off a bit. And I know the others there's a bit of rotation, except he's just the guy that you know is going to play 90 minutes. And yeah, I think in terms of an essential player, I think I look at all these three. And I mean, I haven't got so many in my free hit draft. I've gone for the man who's dead to you, to be honest, Scott. I went for Cliver instead. But I think having a Bournemouth player in there is really, really important to do. Let's have a look then. Should we look at free hit drafts? Let's do that. Let's get
Yeah, why not?
a free hit drafts up. So if anybody hadn't guessed already, if that one from YouTube watchers, we've got a template one and a differential one. Guess which one of us did the differential one? Yes, he's there, the differential king himself. I'll go
I
through
bet you were
mine.
so excited doing this. I bet you were just there. You had a little beer by your side, a little smile on your face. I bet you was absolutely in the element doing that.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I was like, oh, I can't have him. He's too much percentage. Oh, I'll have to put someone else in. And I was like, oh, I've got to put some under ones in there, and I've got to have some of them. And I was like, oh no, I can't have him because I was going to pick Onana in goal, but I was like, I don't like him anyway, and he's above 5. So I was like, no, get rid.
You can tell look how excited you get now just
I
talking about
know
it. Oh,
exactly.
it's brilliant. What are you going to do in the summer,
I don't
man?
know.
I on Onana, by the way. So I went to my first Man United game in 20 years or whatever it is. You know, as a proper fan, we only go once every 20 years. And watched them play Ipswich. Onana, he just it doesn't breed any confidence into anyone in the stadium. Like so obviously the first goal where Dorgu passed it past him. Like it's obviously the keeper's fault. The keeper's got to make the shout and deal with it. And he doesn't breed and he messes about. It's like become like a caricature of himself. It's like the ball comes to him, and no one's near him. He tries to like a little faint kick and stuff. It's just really odd. The whole thing's odd. And Bruno was the deepest player on the pitch. He was stood next to Harry Maguire for the entire game.
You know when we look back, and it comes up quite often on like Instagram and Facebook of that Liverpool team when Klopp first took over, and it had like Ricky Lambert up front and Barini, and you'd go, "Oh my God, remember this." Honestly, this Man United team, we're going to look back in 10 years and it's going to be the same, isn't it? It is so poor. and it's disgusting how much money's been spent on it, isn't it?
It is. And how much money's been spent on players that have then been moved on. And, like, you can't do anything else with them, but my God. So much. We went thingy Obies up front at the end, and it's just like, God, got on Arsenal youth team. Anyway, free hit drafts. So we're not talking about football for a couple of weeks, can't we? We're just going off on tangents left, right, and centre. So I went for Sells in goal. I thought we need to get a Nottingham Forest defender in there as well. Guardiola at the back, because the man will turn up and score a header against Brighton probably. Eight Nuri, thanks for the reminder, Baz. Just forgot about his existence really. Put him in, Southampton away. He likes to get a return. And I put Kirkez in there because he is my troll of the season, because every return he ever gets, he's on my bench. So I thought I'll put Kirkez in there because he seems to get some good returns. Bruno Fernandes against Leicester. Leicester are awful. Bruno, it was playing pretty deep. His goal was very good at the weekend against Fulham, but he's on all the set pieces, and we do look really dangerous from set pieces. I think he's good. Gibbs White, as I've talked about, and Bumo, obvious. Clivert, we've mentioned already. Haaland in there, he's back. It's the Order of the Phoenix all over again, and he is there up front next to Chris Wood, and obvious again, and Visser. I didn't really struggle with the front three. I didn't really struggle with the front seven, really. There's a couple of different options you could have put in there. Maybe like a Spurs player or like an Iwobi or somebody like that against Spurs for Fulham. But yeah, there was no one else really that stood out to me. And I put Sarr, Bowen, Semedo, and Cresswell on the bench because why the hell not? Any comments on that one, Scott? Any comments on that team? Any glaring omissions?
I don't think there's glaring ones. I mean, there's a few more that you could pop out. Like, I'm not convinced Brentford away from home. So maybe a Beto could have gone in there. Home to West Ham, who seem a bit sort of hit and miss at the minute. But no, I think my first observation, until you prove me otherwise, is that looks like you and Baz are hating this free hit offer, but that seems like a decent team.
My first thing about it was your first reaction when we do differential draft. I've got 7 away players in there.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, that's true.
I think that was like the biggest thing. And also, like, obviously, I put Kirkez in, and he's a defender against 2 players who I've got who are attackers in there. Yeah, there's a couple of little things. The defense was horrible, mate, to put in there. I mean, I could drop Kirkez and start Semedo or something. But just maybe drop Visser and go Beto. It didn't excite me so much. And you were right. Your point that you made before we started recording, by the way, is important to make. You said about actually on paper we should have been laughing putting 2 or 3 Arsenal players in. Cole Palmer should have just probably been nailed. Maybe 3 City would have been easy. How's De Bruyne or Foden not in this? Your man Marmoush maybe could go in. As an option. But yeah, Man United away against Leicester. I mean, how have we got like Højlund or Xerxes or like another midfielder in for United? It's weird how the season's played out. Anyway, sorry, we've kept him waiting so long. He sat forward in his seat in his little Elon Musk mobile. Go on, Baz. Talk to us about your differentials.
So I've got obviously your bench keeper starting, Jose Sarr. Got to put bit of that Forest defence. I've got Nico Williams. I've got Semedo, who's again on your bench. I've got Delete, as you mentioned. Obviously, Man United looking quite threatening from set pieces, and obviously, he's very good at attacking corners. So, for get him in. Then I've got Decore, so Scotsman, he's in there. Hudson-Odoi, my boy, he's in there because I wanted another bit of that Forest. Got Son because I thought he might be back to his best, so give him a chance. He's still lowly owned, so he's under 5, so give him a chance. Why not? Because it's differential. I've got to have some premium in there. Garnacho, even though I don't think he's going to outscore Rashford this till the end of the season, I'll put him in there just probably for the giggles. Same with Xerxes as well. Obviously, he works on there's too many flicks for my liking, even though he's not that flairful for me. Strand Larson, as I mentioned, I picked him from a 2-week punt. I've given him the captain's armband as well because I just think Southampton, I've said earlier, will be on par for one of the worst teams in the Premier League. And then Evan Nilsson back from injury, scored in the FA Cup. He's under 1% owned, and I thought it's worth a very good punt to have on a differential free hit team. And then I've gone Kepa for my keeper, Alcaraz, O'Brien, and Zabrani on the bench.
Question I'll ask you, Scott, is any of those differential picks you think are worth punting on and instead of maybe some of the players that are in the template side? Puffed his cheeks out for podcast listeners there.
Not really, no.
It's
Like, I don't like Garnacho. He's the rotation. He's in and out of the team. Xerxes, he looks horrendous. There are a lot of away fixtures there. Not really, no. Maybe a Strand Larsen, just because, like you said, like Southampton's so bad, and with Cunha out, he will play. I think Strand Larsen is the only one that I would probably bring in, and I would bring him in for Visser.
And I kind of agree with that. If I was going to have a punt on a player, I think that's probably the one I would look at. It's just such. I mean, do you know? I'm obviously you know the answer to this question because I'm asking the question for a reason. But if I asked you who'd scored more points in FPL this season, Heung-min Son or Anthony Gordon, who do you think would have scored more points?
Well, I would have thought Anthony Gordon, but apparently it's Son.
Obviously asking the question because it's not like weirdly he's got like 110 points or something, and he just seemed his numbers are kind of all right. So maybe I'd punt on like a Son in that midfield instead of I don't know maybe
I
go
was gonna.
back to midfield and drop Visser.
Oh, and by the way, anyone that's listening and you're thinking, oh, Gordon might have been out, it's just one game.
Was it two yellows or a red? I didn't see it.
No, sorry. He'll get free. It's like a assault a little bit.
Oh,
But I'm sorry. I mean, he's only missed one game all season. That's what I meant.
right. Okay. Yeah. So it's just, but some of the statistics are pretty crazy. But yeah, so they're the free drafts. Let us know, comments, whatever else. Baz will put these in the Facebook group and I'll stick them on Instagram and on Twitter as well. Just let us know what you think and what your. I mean, there'll be a load of free drafts lingering around on all of these websites. So there'll be some different nuances in there. I think personally, like someone like a Gibbs White is someone that you should definitely have. Baz thinks Chris Wood absolutely, and then Scott thinks Semenya as an option for or a Bournemouth attacker in there. I agree with all those. I'd be very surprised if I saw some free hits without Haaland and Bruno in. I'd be pretty shocked. And I think Guardiola and maybe an 8 Nuri are pretty obvious picks as well. So yeah, we'll see what comes of it. But yeah, those are the ones there at this point. Let's talk about if you are free hitting them, because we have just discussed what teams you would what you would do as your free hit draft. Teams that you would buy from this week if you're free hitting next. And I'm navigating this screen so well for YouTube watchers. Let's start at the top. Let's start with Crystal Palace because either side of this blank, they've got Ipswich at home this week and Southampton away next week. Then Brighton at home and a double game week. So that double game week is pretty awful, City and Newcastle away. But they're still a team that you would be investing in potentially now, especially if you're going to be wildcarding in maybe 31 or whatever. Who stood out for you, Baz, then from Crystal Palace? I mean, let's not talk about Mateta, who's got Kung Fu kicked in the head. Anybody else around?
So it's the front three really. Eze, Sarr, and Mateta was obviously the free to go for. But obviously Munoz, you can't turn your head against him. He's obviously very attacking full back. I said it when he first came to the Premier League. I liked how he played. He got very forward. It would probably suit Man United, to be honest. With Amarin's formation, having him as a right wing back, to be honest.
Definitely would. Yeah.
So yeah, so for me it'd be obviously Munez, Sarr, Eze, and why not? If you're gonna gamble and have someone, why don't you just gamble on Nketiah?
Yeah.
It's gonna start them too, probably, maybe. I don't think he probably will start the Southampton one, actually, to be honest. I think Mateta might be back for that because they're
That's
against
the
Stitches.
debate,
So
though, isn't it? That's a tough one because I totally agree. If I knew that Nketiah was nailed for these two games, I think he'd be right up there as one of my picks. You know, if he scored in the league and then scored in the FA Cup, really lowly owned as a really good differential. There's no doubt of being one of our teams, I'm sure, in differential draft later on today. But yeah, I agree with that from the point of view of it's probably Eze over Sarr, and then I think Munoz looks fantastic. Any advances on that, Scott, in terms of people to pick?
I mean, if you'd go Munez, but the other defender that stuck out for me is just he's got a great name, Lacroix. Maxen Lacroix. He's popping up with a few goals. I have him in draft mode of this game. I have him, Henderson, and Gahey, and I keep starting him in the wrong games. So they keep getting the points when they're on the bench and vice versa. But no, he's looked quite dangerous. But I think I'd agree. You go Munez. It really crushed me with the game week. It was sat on my bench, 13 points. So
Yeah.
he'd be the one. He's always sniffing up there, isn't he? I'd go for him, and I'm not convinced if I'm honest by K. I know he's got a couple of goals, but he's not done enough in the last few years.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that point. I think if it was those two games I knew he was nailed for, that's why you would pick him. I don't think he's a season keeper by any means, but it's just a good differential punt, I think. But Munoz, yeah, when we called it at the beginning of the season, the pre-season pod, didn't we? Like that was he was. I said it. I remember saying 5 million. I thought he was going to prove to be really good value. I think he's in my set and forget team. He was definitely in the draft for that reason. Because I think he was going to do really well, and he's proved to do so. Scott, move to you on Liverpool. Either side of that blank, they've got Southampton at home and then Everton at home. They've got three decent fixtures after that as well, with Fulham away, West Ham at home, and Leicester away. So, and obviously they're going to win the league, so they seem to be doing pretty well. Bar the obvious Salah, I think the big questions are, and I'll come to the first one is, who do you pick with him up top? Because obviously Gakpo hasn't been starting since his injury. Jota has, Diaz has, and then you've got Mr. Szoboszlai, who seems to be returning right behind him. Gakpo seems to not be able to get back in, and Darwin. Where do you go?
Genuinely, I'd go Szoboszlai right now. And you've got to, he's returned 13 and 11 points, but as well, he pretty much plays every minute of every game. He has done in the last 7 game weeks. He's getting into those positions up top. He's kind of doing like what Gerrard used to do, those kind of like deep runs from midfield. He's got loads of confidence, whereas you would say a couple of the others, Gakpo, like you've just said there, seems a bit off it. Luis Diaz, he had a great start to this season, but he looks a bit shy of confidence. Jota is just in and out, isn't he, with injuries as well? So genuinely, for me right now, I would, if I've got Salah, obviously, I'd happily put Szoboszlai next to him as well. Genuinely would. That would be my guy.
I like that as a pick for, especially from the minutes perspective. So I was just gonna to bring up the minutes because Jota seems to obviously be playing, but he's the 60-minute man.
Yeah.
Didn't play against City, but 61, 0, 65, 63, and that's what's happened since Gakpo's injury. There seems to be rotation in those positions, but when you look at Szoboszlai at 6.4 million, he's only owned by 3.9% as well. So what he's doing is, we've just had this conversation about Munoz. Szoboszlai is now delivering the returns that everybody guessed that he would do in slot system at the beginning of the season. So we all talked about it, didn't we, at the beginning? If we think back, Szoboszlai is going to play in a 10 because he's going to play a 4-2-3-1, and that means that Salah's going to be on that side, and it's who's going to play up front behind him. And yeah, he was quite highly touted at the beginning of the season. Again, another player that's no doubt going to be one of our differential draft teams later on against Southampton at home. Baz, do you concur, or are you more of a Diaz, Jota, Gakpo. Well, you're not a Gakpo man. Are you more of a Diaz or a Jota man?
Well, I think Szoboszlai is in great form, so you'd be stupid not to do that, and especially if you're chasing as well, because quite a lot of people probably have maybe Gakpo still and maybe a Diaz and maybe even a Jota. So people obviously will just go Szoboszlai doesn't really get that forward. But obviously, if you watch the games or watch Match of the Day, as Scott keeps mentioning, he's always there or thereabouts as coming into that box, coming on to the seconds, or it's come off a keeper or come off a defender and getting them rebounds. So yeah, I would probably be going Szoboszlai. And also if I was, I'll probably be going Jota because he plays straight down the middle for him. I know his minutes have been minimal, shall we say? But that's because he's probably come back from an injury and he wants to ease him back in. And once he's full flowing, we know how good he is. So for me, it'll be either Szoboszlai or Jota, and they're the two that's least owned as well. So, and that's coming from me who's massively chasing everyone. So it's worth to just gamble on them two players.
I like. I agree. I think Szoboszlai is the right and better pick. You know what I'm like though about Jota. You just know he's got like a hat trick in him against Southampton. That you
Yeah.
know he puts the ball in the net. You know he can play 65 minutes and get 2 goals and an assist or something against a team that's that bad, and he's probably going to start. I think it's Szoboszlai and then it's Jota for me after that point. And then Scott, you're an owner, and so am I. Is Trent worth it?
I'd say so at the minute. Yeah, like he's they've kept 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games as well. I mean, let's be honest, Trent's in our teams mainly for the attacking returns that he can provide. He's playing really well. He's putting in some really dangerous crosses. He's having some good shots on target. I'm really happy as a Trent owner. I'd say the only thing is similar to Jota, comes off at a similar time, sort of 60 to 70 minute kind of, which I don't mind so much when they've got they got that nil against them, and it's like, okay, that's the clean sheet in the back pocket. But obviously, you are losing 25, 30 minutes of potential attacking returns there. So that's the only thing with Trent. But yeah, he looks decent. He scored against Villa, and he's looking attacking. So I would have him in. And let's be honest, I can see him getting some returns against Southampton because my days, I can see him getting like 12, 13 points a week.
I agree. And yeah, I mean, he's only got one attacking return in his last 6, which is a goal. But I do, yeah, as an owner, I'm happy with it again because at the same time, he has still got 5 returns in his last 6 because of the last 6 games, that is. So obviously, game weeks, they've had 2 double game weeks in there. So they've been pretty decent, chunky returns. Yeah, because Liverpool are the, I think they are the best defence in the league. I can never remember, but I'm pretty sure they will be, considering everyone else is just so leaky. The other player I just wanted to point was Canate. Seems to play 90 minutes every week, and he's 5.2 mil. So if you wanted to just invest for these 2 weeks before your wild card, and you haven't got enough money for Trent, and you want to get on the Liverpool clean sheets at 5.2, he's good value. The left back keeps getting rotated, and Verge is 6.4. So 5.2, not a bad pick at all if you wanted to try and get on those 2 clean sheets either side of the free hit.
Second best clean sheet, 3 goals worse off than us.
Arsenal. Fine. Last team to point out is Newcastle. Any news on Isak, Baz?
He's not flagged no more on FPL, so
No.
I think they just said he was a bit tired. So yeah, it's one of
There's
them.
a
Is he
chance
going
he
to
don't
get?
play though, isn't there? There's a chance he don't play in against West Ham away. It's a chance Wilson starts, isn't there? They start Wilson, Barnes, and Murphy or something. You just, I can just.
I think that's probably what he's going to do, especially with obviously the cup coming in the following week. I think
Yeah,
he's going to do that.
it's a real issue. You've got to make sure your first sub's right this week. I think that again, for anyone who's an Isak owner, I can just see it being a problem. I definitely wouldn't be bringing him in this week as one of the players if I was at Newcastle. To be honest, I wouldn't
I
bring
think
him, but
I think Isaac starts. Gordon's not playing, is he? I think you've got to have your better players in there. I think if Gordon didn't get sent off, then yeah, I would agree with that. But no Isaac, no Gordon. I think that's a recipe for sort of disaster. It's the two best players this season. So that for that reason, I think Isaac starts.
it's interesting because I think if Wilson had featured more this year, you'd be way more confident in the fact that Wilson was going to start. But the fact that he's not really, what do you have, 13 minutes or something last week? Like it's maybe he's not fit enough yet. I don't know. I have a really bad feeling about it. And I've just been bitten too many times in FPL by starting and this, that, and the other in these players. But yeah, I think briefly to wrap up on this one, I don't recommend buying any Newcastle players. But even if you are free hitting in 29, but tell me, am I wrong, Baz?
Could gamble on Barnes maybe because Gordon's out, so Barnes will start. We know
Of course, you're gonna have
Mar
at least one name to give.
yeah, Barnes
You
for
can,
me.
you can
Barnes,
gamble on Dave's story. He'll get a few minutes in.
yeah, goalkeeper coach, get him in.
I thought you were going to say Wilson, because I know how much you love him because of that what he did for your season that year.
Well, no, but I think you're right with the minutes. He hasn't played a lot, so they're just going to ease him back in, similar to what obviously Liverpool's done with Jota. So for me, I'd say Barnes will be the one, and he's under 1% owned. So why not take a gamble on a massive differential?
I'll tell you what, this season, just on sort of the point you were saying about sort of rotation and that, and I think it's because none of us has really had many Man City, apart from Baz, that's clung on to Haaland for dear life. Um, it doesn't feel like my players have really got like dropped or rotated. It doesn't. I'm not looking at my first sub going, oh God, who's coming on? And that can be obviously annoying. Like the other week when I had like 28 points on my bench, like everyone, like there doesn't seem to be anyone that's just randomly getting dropped this season. And is it because we haven't got the City players?
Yeah, maybe so. And I think also we haven't got like triple Arsenal, or a lot of these like the Villa players haven't really been, we've got Rodgers, but he doesn't seem to be being dropped. They seem to be sort of like rotating him in different places. It's really weird. Like, yeah, I know what you mean. I don't feel like I've been bitten by maybe the five subs things helping as well. Don't know, something along those lines. But um, yeah, no one really from Newcastle, I don't think, to pick up on. Right, let's have a look at fixtures and captains, and then we'll do our differential draft. And we'll always leave that to the end because that's for the hardcores, you see. They're for the real fans. If you stick it to the end, you're a real fan. Game week 28, deadline Saturday the 8th of March at 11 a.m. We've got Forest City, the TNT game. Brighton Fulham, Palace Ipswich, Liverpool Southampton, Brentford Villa, Wolves Everton, Chelsea Leicester on Sunday, Spurs Bournemouth, Man U Arsenal, West Ham Newcastle. Right, so Captain Salah. Should we get on with differential draft then?
Yeah.
Should we just get cracking? If you don't own Salah or you don't captain Salah this week, delete your team and don't bother playing FPL again.
Unless,
Right. Oh
unless you're like a Man
no!
U.
I thought Baz was going to be this person, Scott, not you.
No, I was going to say unless you're like a Man U fan and like hate Liverpool, or an Everton fan and hate Liverpool, and you're like, do you know what? I'm going to stick to my guns and not have any Liverpool players. Then I respect that.
Okay, who would you go for? Right, you're Ben Crabtree, because that was who won FPL that time when Liverpool were rubbish, because he was an Everton fan, and he
Oh,
had
grabbers.
yeah, Crabbers.
I would go for. It's tough, innit? Palmer.
Palmer, yeah. So there you go. That's the backup. There you go. Right, on to differential draft. Let's look at the results. You didn't have anything to throw in there, Baz, did you? Any 1%?
Come on.
And do you want me to put the fixtures back up for you?
Nah, it's all right. I think they
He's really
probably can,
sad.
mate. So I don't want to embarrass myself by saying like Lawson or something like that.
Strand Larson, your man, your favourite man. Baz, can you read out the results then of differential draft for last week? If you can read that on your screen.
Yeah, can do. So Alex won again, quite comfortably. So he had Leno in got goal for 3 points, Wan-Bissaka 7 points. Absolute quality midfield with Bruno and Nkunku got 22 points between them. That's more than what I even got. And Hoyland, he's probably one of the most favourite picked strikers in differential draft, and he just doesn't perform. He's got 1 point. Scott finished second between us. He had Sarr in goal with 2 points. Then he had an absolute mare with Dorgu with -3, got sent off. But his midfield made up for it again, and his striker. So kudos with 6. Neto 11 and Mateta with 8. And then obviously, unfortunate for me, James didn't start. So I took the gamble. So I lost myself 6 points. So Ariola in goal got 6, Bowen got 6, Jorginho got 5, and Beto got 2 and missed 3 one-on-ones. So yeah, I finished with 19. And our top fan was Phil, who got 26, if I believe. So yeah, it was second overall. But obviously didn't beat the guru himself. So yeah, well done, Alex. See if you can do it again. So
Thanks, mate.
keep you
So
Phil.
I'm last. I'm last this week, aren't I? Then so off you,
Yeah, so
you
me
go, pal.
first. It's becoming a regular thing, to be honest. So let's go. Let's get my notes up. I am gonna pick. I should pick the.
Liverpool player, do you reckon?
Yeah, Szoboszlai.
Maybe.
Yeah, 3.9.
Jota,
Yeah, you set of humans. Um, do you know, I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna go for Nketiah. I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is.
I'm going to pick
I wanted both of those players that you've just picked first, obviously.
as a 7.7.
just need to keep on the Liverpool page, to be honest with you. I'm going to go McAllister.
I like that. I'm gonna stick with my boy Nkunku at 2.7.
Strand Larson 1.1.
I will go Nketiah. Why not? 0.
It's done it again.
Have I done it?
You've done it again.
Genuine. Oh, crap.
Picked him already.
I thought you went Chelsea, mate.
I didn't. I went on
First
Nkunku.
pick.
Oh, oh, Jesus! Right. What's going on then? I'll go.
What's going on then?
Please, I hope this ain't gone. I can't even go for him. I've got 2 midfielders already. Oh, Jesus. What's
You don't need
this?
to go for a striker, mate. We've both picked ours.
All right. I'll go for Baz's boy last week. He surely plays. We'll go Reece James, 0.9. That's not gone, has it? He's laughing.
No, he's not gone.
All right,
Baz hasn't picked him yet. I will go for Jorgensen, Chelsea keeper, 0.9.
I'm gonna pick Fofana 0.3%.
Who? Barnett.
Fofana.
All right. You just someone for like Wigan. You just popped out.
He just went for like a 0.2% Southampton defender or something crazy.
Yeah.
What's going on? What strikers have you got then? Nketiah and
You need to go for Beto, mate, probably. I'd have thought.
Well, for Wilson.
Oh, Wilson. Oh, Wilson at 0.1, yeah.
Oh, Hoyland's there, isn't he?
Better off going for that. Honestly, you talk about Xerxes not looking that good. Against Ipswich, like, he was 20 of Hoyland. He was winning every header. He was running around so much back. He actually looked really good, and he ran himself into the ground. Like,
yeah, he's a nice water carrier centre forward.
Yeah. Hey, listen, at least he looked more threatening than Rasmus.
Well, yeah, it's not hard, is it, really? I look more threatening than not sitting on the couch.
He wasn't making any runs in behind Rasmus in the game. It was really, really frustrating, actually, to watch. It was actually just annoying. I mean, even...
We're doing good filling here for Scott to pick his thing because he's done no prep work. So
Bruno hasn't done any prep work. I'm going to go for. Do you know what I'm going to go for? I think I might go. No, I've just been bigging them up. Yeah, I'll go for Beto. 5.9 then.
I will go for
5.9. Oh, wait. No, that's fine. I've got James. Carry on.
Colwell. I'm heavy Chelsea. Ah, crikey. Um, that's. In fact, you know, I won't do that. I won't go Colwell because I've gone. I don't want double Chelsea defense. I'll go for Semedo at 0.4%.
Oh, which keeper should I go for?
I think you should go for because you've got Fafana. I think you should go for Sarr.
Yes, it's either Sar or Pope in
Oh
it.
yeah, so
Yeah,
literally my three keepers: Pope, Jorgensen, and Sarr written down.
yeah, I'll go for Sar. I think you're right.
Scott's going
I'm
for.
I, I'm just gonna get Maverick in my keeper. I'm just gonna think he's gonna get another assist. I'm gonna go Edison. Why not?
I really don't dislike that pick at all, actually.
Forest out firing at the minute. You
Playing, but no, but I think they do all right. Yeah. So Jorgensen, Semedo, and Kunku, and my last midfielder, I'll go for Sarr.
Gosh.
Sarr? Ugh.
Yeah,
Good
just
goalie, mate.
It's either him or Neto. I'm just a bit.
Oh, you gotta go Neto.
go for
Look how many
Barnes.
points he got me last week. 11 points.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm going to go Neto. I'm
Go
going to
for
go
that
Neto.
Monetzi who plays for Wolves, who's
Yeah,
0% owned.
there you go, you see. I'm surprised you haven't got him. So the winning team is Jorgensen,
Ah,
Semedo, Nkunku, Neto, and Nketiah. And just so you all know, I've got three players under 1% there. So it'll be even
oh.
sweeter if I win this week, Baz. Uh,
Just rub it
Baz,
in.
Baz, your team.
I was tempted to go all under one, but I thought no, I need to actually get some credit back. So I've got Jose Sarr, Fafana, Shabojlai, Eze, and Strand Larson.
Scotty T
Yeah, Edison, um, Don James,
and James.
Ryan, Reece James. Um, I've gone for Jota and McAllister and
That Gary.
Beto.
To be fair, Scott, I absolutely love your front three.
Yeah, I
But
was going to
yeah, James won't play it and Edison will concede four or something. But
yeah.
them front three look really good. So yes, those are our teams. Do not forget to submit your teams to Barry. He will really enjoy reading them, and we always do. And he can join our fan league. And the fans are beating us, aren't they, Baz?
Yeah,
Um,
massively. Yeah, it's kind of coming to be on the joke, to be honest. But we have to
Well,
pick different
we
players.
have to put on the
So
pressure, don't we? And they get everyone, and we don't
and
get
Scott
everyone.
tries and picks
So
every single player 4 times.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Well, they can. So yeah,
he only,
boot
he
to
only
them.
double he only do double up once this week, Baz. He didn't do too bad.
yeah,
No.
true. Yeah, there is that.
Yeah. Who are the fans? My mum, Chris Brown, and Guy. They're the main ones,
And Phil
aren't
Allen, who's
they?
won
Oh yeah.
3 of the last 4 he's participated in.
Has he? Well, you see, that's well, and on a serious note, in that light, I really enjoy the fact that people submit their teams. I think it's lovely, and even if you are all beating us together, it does make doing the different draft worthwhile. It's one of our favourite features. So, yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
And I like writing up the report, to be honest. I enjoy doing that.
Oh.
I love reading it when I win. But since you've been writing the report, I've turned a corner. I'm such a
What gets
naturalist. I love
what
reading
gets
about
you
myself.
more what gets you more excited, doing the report or sitting there like looking at 0.8% picks?
Bit of both, mate. I do it whilst I'm doing it.
Yeah.
That's why
Do
that
one.
that 3 seconds where we
Do
were
what while you do
recording.
it? Oh dear, we
And
can't
that's a
say
perfect
that.
point to wrap
My
up
mum's
this
the only
week.
one listening.
Perfect point to wrap up this week. Thank you to the 4 people that are still listening. And apologies for, well, I'm not going to apologize. It's quite funny, really. So do not forget to like the video on YouTube. Do not forget to follow us wherever you get your podcast from. Click the little icon, give us 5 stars. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms All in Football Pod, All in Football, All in Football P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And follow us on the FPL Affairs Facebook group where Baz will be posting all of these graphics. Really enjoyed this week, lads. It's great to be back. Great to be back talking about FPL. And before we have Game Week 28, Game Week 29, and then another international break. So yes, let's all enjoy the next couple of game weeks. Scott, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Cheers.
Barry, thanks for parking up. And it's nice that you sat there in the light rather than the dark.
Yeah, that makes a difference. And thank you.
Thanks to the listeners for listening and the watchers for watching, and it's goodbye from me for now.